wow. Fucking A, wow. Firestarter! Yeah, because this movie exists now. This is, of course, based off of a novel by the one and only Stephen King, and it's the second try at adapting this into a movie after whatever came out in 1984, that is. That was Drew Barrymore's big follow-up after E.T. back in... Oh, that's terrible. Zack Efron and his wife desperately try to hide their daughter Charlie from a shadowy federal agency, and they want to harness her unprecedented gifts for turning fire into a weapon of mass destruction. Now, Zack Efron teaches her how to diffuse her power, but as Charlie gets older, the fire becomes harder and harder to control, and my anger is getting very, very hard to control right now. This movie's terrible. Like, seriously, guys, I've seen a lot of terrible, scary movies throughout my life. I love the horror genre. But when a movie like this comes along, it just pushes all the wrong buttons. If you've been with me for a while, you know that I think Stephen King is a freaking genius. I think he's one of the most imaginative minds to ever put his hand to the pen. And there have been a lot of excellent film adaptations of his work. Misery, The Shining, The Shawshank Redemption, which is a masterpiece. All of these come to mind. But for every Stephen King adaptation that's a masterwork, there tends to be a few shitty ones to equal the amount, like Maximum Overdrive is a horrible, horrible film. You also have movies like Cell, which are just absolutely atrocious. You can certainly add this iteration of Firestarter to that list of stinkers. I'm sitting here right now struggling to come up with anything positive to say about Firestarter 2022. This movie has some good music attached to it. It's a nice John Carpenter style score. A lot of these themes definitely, number one, just sound like something that was taken from The Exorcist. And it does tend to be a little bit overbearing. Besides that, I mean, this was pretty much hell on earth. The direction of this film, aside from one nice looking shot involving some picture frames, where I actually have to admit, I was like, okay, that's pretty creative right there. Everything else is just so bland and by the numbers. The action in this film is almost non-existent because I don't feel like I saw one single piece of that action. The camera work around this action is just horrific. It's over-edited just like a Michael Bay movie is. Like, you can barely see anything. The editing in between, there are just so many quick little jump cuts thrown in here. Like, I needed to just look away from the screen. I had to pause it on Peacock, because that's how you need to watch this film, by the way, is on Peacock. Don't give this movie your money. But I had to pause it. I had to go out in the hall and pace a little bit and just get rid of the headache. I had to take some ibuprofen, and then I went right back to the movie, which was kind of a mistake because it did not fix my headache at all. Speaking of by the numbers, let's talk about this acting. First of all, let me just say that Kiera Anderson is an actress who shows a lot of promise, and I honestly feel really icky anytime I criticize a young child performer. She doesn't do bad in the film at all. She's certainly giving it her hardest try. Every other performance around her, though, is, oof. Big yikes. Zac Efron is in this movie basically to get people inside the theaters and sell tickets. And his performance in here is just, I've seen him do good work in the past. I mean, yeah, say what you want about High School Musical, he will be Troy Bolton for the rest of his career. He's never gonna shake that. But at least you can tell that he has a lot of charisma and energy thrown into a project like High School Musical. And hell, I did love him in The Greatest Showman. That's a movie that not enough people talk about. I thought he was one of the shining spots of that film. He was a lot of fun to watch. In this film, though, oh man, this dialogue really is not helping him matters. I can tell that he's certainly trying to elevate the material over the top, but no matter how much effort he's throwing into it, it's just not landing. Many of Zac Efron's lines in this movie just come off like gigantic exposition paragraphs, and he's just reading them off in front of a Zoom camera audition, basically. That's what this performance was. And, God, I'm sorry, but this is the most damning thing about a Stephen King adaptation. This movie is not scary in the slightest. It's actually unbelievable that nothing frightening happens, and the attempts to make things horrific in Firestarter come off like a comedy. And this is gonna kind of get into spoiler territory, but you know what? Again, you shouldn't go to the theater. If you do have to watch this film, you keep your money. You put it in your wallet. I know that some of you get Peacock for free, so you really, really have no excuse if you watch this film. So with that out of the way, yeah, it's time for me to spoil some shit. because this is the movie I got, and I've got to do it. Zac Efron as the dad basically has the power that he is a telepath. Anybody who's a Harry Potter nerd like me will get this. His power is basically the Imperius Curse. He basically brainwashes his victims into doing his dirty work. And this character is also a heavy smoker. He had just quit, basically. So his powers, anytime he harnesses it, he will start crying tears of blood, and oh my god, it just looks so horrendous. Efron looks like a complete moron and an imbecile every time he's crying blood, like... Good lord! And this movie is 94 minutes of just pure subplots that are being thrown in one after the other. That's just not enough time with so much going on. It just feels so crammed and so crowded. It's mind-boggling how this movie was even put together. Like, there's no character development, and most of the characters aside from Charlie, the 11-year-old girl, they're pretty disposable performances. And the ending of this film may just be the most aggravating thing out of all of this rant that I've given you here. They are basically setting up that this is a big superhero origin story. The villain in this film, who, again, spoiler warning, it's basically the woman's secret agent who gives a very wooden performance as well. But she literally says, verbatim, I'm not kidding you, word for word, Charlie, you're becoming a superhero. Like, not every movie has to be Marvel, guys. Let the people who are actually good at telling superhero movies tell those stories. This is a scary movie. It's based off a Stephen King novel. Like, you don't have to go the Marvel route. You don't. I really don't feel like I need to go on any further, guys. Firestarter 2022 is an absolute dumpster fire. I'm giving this film an F. Yeah, don't see this. It's definitely not worth your money. The fact that the movie studio just shoehorned this on Peacock same day as the theatrical release, that should really tell you all you need to know. Guys, I need to take a break and calm down, but verdict is, this is one of the worst Stephen King adaptations of all time. Right up there with Cell, right up there with Maximum Overdrive. You don't need to spend 94 minutes of your life wasting away in this hellstorm. But if you somehow enjoyed this movie, let me know what you thought of it down in the comment section below. I mean, we can agree to disagree, but honestly, it just felt good to vent after what I just had to sit through, ladies and gentlemen. But if you guys are new to the channel, do consider smashing that subscribe button along with that notification bell right next to it. That way, you guys can always stay in the loop anytime there's a new video here on the channel. You'll be the first ones to know, don't worry. And heck, feel free to hit that like button if you enjoyed what you saw today. If you want to see more from me, absolutely, I would love to see your lovely faces back here and talking all new things cinema on a regular basis. Yeah, this was a very, very slow weekend, especially on a Friday the 13th. You should expect a really, really fun horror film. And that ain't Firestarter. But definitely look forward to my reviews of Men, the Alex Garland film, which comes out a week from today. Top Gun Maverick hits theaters at the end of the month. I'll also be looking at the predecessor in the build-up to that, so that should be a lot of fun. And this Tuesday, expect my review to drop for Jurassic Park 3. I feel like there's going to be a little bit more venting going on there, guys. But I can't wait, guys. This is too fun. Thank you all so very much again for supporting the channel. Do not go and see Firestarter. I beg you. I mean, you'll thank me for it later. But guys, with all that being said, back talk, commence.